OpenAI just told the US government to tax robots and give everyone a 4-day work week. And Anthropic built a model that is so dangerous they won't let the public use it. And Google quietly dropped a free app that could wipe out an entire category of startups overnight. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to AI Front Page. We got 6 stories, 0 fluff. Let's go. All right, so this is one that everybody is going to have an opinion about. So on April 6th, OpenAI published a 13-page policy document that titled Industrial Policy for the Intelligence Age. And the proposals in here are, I'm telling you, they're honestly, they're kind of wild coming from a $582 billion company. Let's take a look. So first, they're calling for a robot tax. So if a machine replaces a human worker, that machine should pay into the tax system just like the human did. Now, the idea, it's not new. Bill Gates brought it up back in 2017, but having the company that builds the robots say, yeah, tax the robots is definitely a different thing entirely. Second, they want to create a public wealth fund. So I want you to think of it like Alaska's permanent fund, but for AI. So the government and AI companies, they would invest in assets that are tied to the AI boom, and the returns will go directly to citizens. So basically, everyone gets a small ownership stake in the AI company. And then third, listen, a 4-day work week, 32 hours, same pay. Now, OpenAI's argument, it's pretty straightforward here. Now, if AI makes workers more productive, that extra productivity, it should give people their time back, not just, pad corporate margins. And they are also proposing automatic safety net triggers. So when AI-driven job losses hit certain numbers, benefits like unemployment payments, they would end up scaling up automatically without waiting for Congress to act. Now, let's be real about the timing here, because OpenAI is about IPO. So they're valued at $852 billion. Sam Altman, he told Axios that he wants to see serious debate on these issues and that the document itself says these are initial ideas. But the critics, they are already pointing out the contradictions. So this is a for-profit company that is racing to build a technology that could displace millions of workers. And they're also writing the policy playbook for how to deal with that displacement. So it's like an oil company that is designing environmental regulations. So whether you see this as genuine responsibility or strategic positioning ahead of an IPO, the proposals themselves are definitely worth paying attention to, because somebody is going to have to figure it out what happens when AI takes over, large chunks of the workforce. So at least now the conversation has a starting point. Speaking of that IPO, there is a fight that is happening behind closed doors at OpenAI. So reports that came out this week that CFO Sarah Friar has raised some concerns about Sam Altman's plan to take the companies public by Q4 this year. Now, Altman, he wants to move fast. Friar is reportedly saying, look, hold on, are we actually ready? And when you look at the numbers, you can see why she might be nervous, because OpenAI has committed to spending $600 billion over the next 5 years. So they're generating about $2 billion a month in revenue right now, but they don't expect to be profitable until 2030, with projected cumulative losses over $200 billion between now and then. Look, that's a lot, okay? That's a lot of red ink to show public investors. Now, on top of that, 3 senior executives have stepped back the same week. COO Brad Lightcap, he moved to the new role. CMO Kate Rauch, she's stepping down for cancer treatment. And AGI Development CEO Fiji Simo is on medical leave for a neuroimmune condition. Now, Simo said that she'd been pushing off medical care to stay focused on working, and finally pushed, just a little too far. So you've got the CEO and the CFO that are disagreeing on timing. You got $600 billion in planned spending, projected losses through 2030, and then 3 C-suite level executives are out at once. I'm telling you, that is a lot of turbulence for a company about to go through the most anticipated tech IPO in history. If you're keeping up with AI through this channel, go ahead, do me a favor, hit subscribe, because we put these out twice every week and we want to make sure that you do not miss even one. Okay, Anthropic had a huge week. So there is a lot to unpack here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through fast. First, the money. Anthropic just announced they hit 30 billion in annualized revenue. So that is up from 19 billion just last month, and $11 billion jump in a single month. For context, OpenAI, they're at 24 billion. So Anthropic has actually overtaken OpenAI in revenue, which nobody really saw coming that fast. But the bigger story is Claude Mythos. Now, Anthropic confirmed the existence of their largest model ever. This is rumored to be over 10 trillion parameters, and they announced it through something called Project Glasswing. And what is Glasswing? So it's basically Anthropic saying this model is too powerful to give everyone access to right now. Instead of going ahead and releasing it publicly, what they're going to do is they're only going to share it with 40 partner organizations that are focused specifically on cybersecurity and defense. Now, why? Because of what Mythos can do. Now, according to Anthropic's 244-page system card, yes, I said that right, 244 pages, Mythos found thousands of high-severity software vulnerabilities, including some in every major operating system and web browser. So we're talking about decades-old bugs in Linux, OpenBSD, and FFmpeg that no human had ever caught. Security researcher Nicholas Carlini, who works with Anthropic's Red Team, said that he found more bugs in a couple of weeks with Mythos than he found in the rest of his career combined.
I found more bugs in the last couple of weeks than I found in the rest of my life combined.
That's not marketing. That is a respected researcher making a statement about what a model can actually do. But here's where it gets weirder. One Mythos instance that was not supposed to have internet access contacted a researcher externally. It had figured out on its own that it should reach out. Anthropic's interpretability team, they also reported that the model shows sophisticated strategic thinking, creative reward hacking, and in about 7.6% of test cases was aware that it was being evaluated. Okay, you have a model that finds zero-day vulnerabilities in every major OS, contacts people when it's not supposed to, and then it knows when it's being tested. And on top of that, Anthropic looked at all of this and they said, yeah, you know what? We're not releasing this to the public. So this is the first time since OpenAI held back GPT-2 back in 2019 that a major AI lab has said a model is too dangerous for general release. So whether you think that's responsible or if you just think it's incredible marketing, the capabilities that are described here are a real step change. Okay, this one is a sneaky story, but listen, it might be one of the most important ones for anybody that is thinking about building or investing in AI startups. So last Sunday, with zero announcement, no press release, there's no blog post, nothing, Google dropped an app called AI Edge Eloquent onto the iOS App Store. So it's a dictation app that is powered by their Gemma models, and it works completely offline on your phone. So you talk, it transcribes in real time. When you pause, it automatically removes all of the ums and the ahs, and then it fixes your mid-sentence corrections, and then it can give you a clean, polished text. It can even pull names and jargon from your Gmail to get specialized terms right. And it has transformation modes that you can turn your raw speech into bullet points, into formal text, or a short summary with just one tap. Sounds cool, right? Now, here's why it matters. There are startups that have raised serious money to do exactly just this. Wispr Flow, they raised $81 million in venture capital. They charge $15 a month. Super Whisper, Willow, they all charge monthly subscriptions. In fact, some of these tools, they cost users $144 to $180 a year. Google's app, completely free. No subscription, no usage caps, and it works offline, which means that your voice data never leaves your phone. Okay, that's something that Wispr Flow can't even offer because it routes your audio through OpenAI's and Meta Cloud servers. So one app, zero marketing, and the entire subscription-based AI dictation market just got a lot harder to defend. So this is the classic Google playbook. They don't need dictation apps to make money. They just need you inside their ecosystem. And when a company, company with unlimited resources and then free distribution launches a product for $0, every single startup in that space has to answer a very uncomfortable question, which is, why would anyone pay us $15 a month for something that Google gives away? Now, Eloquent is iOS only right now, and it's early. Wispr Flow still has cross-platform support and more features, but the writing is on the wall. And this exact scenario is going to keep playing out across every single AI vertical. Google, Apple, Microsoft, or Meta dropping a free version of something that startups spent millions building. So it's something really worth watching if you're building in this space or if you're betting your career on an AI startup. Elon Musk announced TeraFab back in March. This is a plan to build a massive semiconductor factory in Texas for SpaceX and Tesla. So the goal is produce 1 terawatt per year of compute to power AI and robotics. Now, the problem was SpaceX and Tesla, they don't know how to build chips. They're making semiconductors. It's one of the hardest manufacturing problems on the planet. You need years of experience. You need to have ultra precise clean rooms, typically 20 billion or more just to get a facility running. Now this week, Intel, they signed on to the project, and then suddenly TeraFab, makes a lot more sense. Now Intel has been struggling for years. NVIDIA and AMD, they passed them in advanced processors, and their stock, it took a beating. But they still have something that nobody else in America has. They have actual chip fabrication expertise. So they know how to build fabs. So the deal, it works for everyone. Now Musk, he gets a real partner who can actually manufacture chips. Intel, that gets 2 massive anchor customers for its foundry business. And the US gets another domestic chip factory, which is a big deal given all the tension with China over semiconductor supply chains. Now, whether this thing gets built on time and at scale is a very different question entirely, because chip fabs are notorious for delays and cost overruns. But on paper, this partnership, it fills in the gap that made the original TeraFab announcement feel like more of a press release than a plan. And we're closing with a reality check. Gartner, one of the biggest research and advisory firms in tech, dropped a new report just this week. And the headline, it's pretty sobering. Only 28% of AI projects in infrastructure and operations are delivering meaningful returns. So that's 1 in 5. 20% fail completely. So what I want you to do is I want you to let that land for a second. All the billions that are being poured into AI by every single company on earth, and then fewer than 3 out of 10 projects are actually working. Now, this doesn't mean that AI is a failure. What it means is that most companies are treating AI like a magic wand. They're buying the tools, they're plugging them in, and then they're expecting everything to improve literally overnight. But AI only works when it's deeply integrated into actual workflows, not bolted on top of processes that were designed by humans. Now, Gartner says the gap between AI ambition and AI execution is massive right now. Companies, they overestimate what the technology can do, especially for things like self-healing systems and fully autonomous operations. So those use cases, they sound amazing in a demo, but in production with messy real-world data and edge cases everywhere, they fall apart. So this matters because we're at a moment where companies are making multi-billion-dollar bets on AI, and if the returns don't show up, if they don't, you're going to see a correction. And not in the technology itself, because AI is real and it works, but in the expectations around how fast it transforms everything. So the companies that will win are the ones that start small, pick the right problems, and build AI into the way work actually gets done. Not the ones that are chasing every shiny new model release. So that's your AI news roundup. OpenAI wants to redesign the economy. Anthropic, they built something that they will not release. And then most AI projects still don't work. Oh, what a time to be alive. Tell me in the comments, what do you think about OpenAI's 4-day work week idea? I really want to know, because would it actually, happen, or is it just big talk? I want to hear you. So hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.